right. Sounds like we are about ready to go on this run.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Take it away.
All right. I am GrimShins. We got Sonic Man on the couch over
Good morning,
here.
everybody. Good morning.
It is very early in the morning.
Yeah, 6
oh,
a.m. in
Lord.
the morning. So
6 a.m.
everybody get your
And
coffee and
what
water.
better way to celebrate the morning than a game about dolphins?
Yes.
So, quick recap of Ecco the Dolphin for those who aren't familiar. In the first Ecco game, you lost your pod in a storm, you talked to a blue whale who told you to go talk to a giant DNA strand, who told you to go back in time and then fight some aliens. And we did all of that. And this is the sequel. And, yeah, let's get right to it.
Yes.
I'll try to explain what I'm doing.
Do we need to give you a countdown?
I can count it down. Time starts on control the character, so that will be in 3, 2, 1, go.
Woo!
So we start off in home bay, and we just need to talk to this dolphin who serves as a wall. He won't let you by until you talk to him because he's a jerk. And we go into our first 3D stage. Now, during these stages, we want to be mashing B and C as rapidly as possible, just to gain the most speed. These little Nautiluses don't really do a whole lot. Their bubbles will hurt you, but there aren't too many of them. You can avoid it pretty easily. We want to try our best not to miss any of these rings, because each time we miss one, it's a 3-second time loss. And if you miss too many of them, you fail the level, but we're not going to do that.
No, we're not.
So not gonna lie, when I heard the game Ecco the Dolphin, I thought, it's gonna be a nice, chill, underwater game. This is faster than I was expecting.
It is
like everything
very
moves
fast.
fast.
Especially this level. Yeah. Basically, walls are suggestions in this game sometimes. When Ecco is moving at full speed, he moves actually even a bit faster than Supersonic. In the Sonic the Hedgehog games.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was
that was Jack John's run.
that was Sonic. You did good. You did good. Yes.
So now we've lost the powers that the DNA from the first game gave us, so we have to surface for air. That's not going to be an issue. We're never going to be at a point in the run where we need to worry about air. So while Ecco can move very quickly, he also has no brakes, and he can only turn once every 8 frames, essentially. So he kind of handles like a shopping cart with a broken wheel.
fair enough.
And mind you, he says Echo, not Flipper.
Yeah.
Right?
So in this stage, we need to use the key glyph twice. Once for the glyph that we already got rid of, then one coming up. Turtles are useful for helping you swim through currents, because here's some biology facts for you. Actually, no, this is important. I'll get to this. Yeah, this dolphin looks kind of weird. That's because it's from the future. In the future, dolphins will have very long fins and also be psychic and telekinetic.
Apparently there was some crossbreeding going on with sharks here, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We're talking interesting genetics, let's just put it that way.
Oh yeah. So this dolphin explains to us that we're going to the future because our friend, the giant DNA, needs to talk to us about something because plot.
And it's like the way they teleport reminds me so much of Star Trek. It's like, beam us up, Scotty.
So in Trellia's Bay, normally we're supposed to kind of go all over the level looking for glyphs, but the developers kind of didn't plan this out well. You can just jump around the barrier and finish the level. You can do something similar on this stage, but even if you get the frame-perfect, sub-pixel-perfect setup for it and do it perfectly first attempt, it only saves 2 seconds versus doing the level normally, and it wastes a lot of time if you mess up, so we just do the level pretty normally.
Oh, we got the bass line going.
Yep.
There it is.
Oh, yeah, the music in this game absolutely spits. It's awesome. So, Skytides is an auto-scroller. It moves quite fast on hard mode. But fortunately, the layout's not too difficult. These water tubes apparently connect to the oceans of future Earth, because the ocean is now a, like, living, breathing, sentient thing in the future, because reasons, I don't know. I guess this is kind of like the circulatory system. So the next stage is a bit of a pain. We're going to be chased by a giant jellyfish, and if we do it right, it won't catch us, but it's got some very precise inputs. Okay, we're fine.
But it's so ugly looking, though.
Oh, yes. Actually, I knew that was going to happen in Marathon.
Oh.
That is the worst luck possible. Basically, the game gets confused. If you happen to reach the exit bounding box while you are outside of the tube, while in contact with the Medusa, the game registers it as a death and sends you back 2 stages.
Oh, wow.
That's something that has happened maybe twice to me in over 200 attempts. So, hey, Marathon luck is real.
Yes, it is.
That's okay, I didn't want a PB anyway.
Especially without the J.
Yeah.
So, you said that the auto-scroller here moves faster on hard mode. So does that mean that the hard mode time is generally faster than the easy mode time?
No. In fact, the level remains the same length overall. It's just twice as long physically in hard mode. And the overall run in hard mode is about 18 minutes longer than easy mode, because there are 3 additional levels, 2 of which are auto-scrollers, and several of the main levels take quite a bit longer to do.
Okay,
And this is something that can happen with the Medusa. Basically,
throwing it back.
you can kind of reset its AI by going back, but yeah, that one's a pretty hard block sometimes. This is just spectacularly bad luck, which is, it's okay. It's why we gave a generous estimate. Alright, now we're through. Aqua Tube Way is the first hard mode exclusive level. It's just another auto-scroller. It's more difficult than Skytides in terms of layout, even though it only moves at half the speed. We've got to sonar these whirlpools to shrink them, because otherwise that happens.
I mean, you're just demonstrating to the crowd. That's what's going on.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
want to give everyone the complete Ecco experience.
Wow. Wow.
There's really not a whole lot to say about this level.
So, you want to know how dumb I am?
Sure.
I just now realized that Ecco was a play on echolocation
Oh yeah.
with the whole sonar
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
I'm just like,
Oh.
hello.
Yeah, actually, where Ecco gets his name from is there was a scientist named John C. Lilly who's rather famous for doing experiments in dolphin communication, like trying to communicate with dolphins. It's pretty weird, and I won't go into details because I was told to keep commentary PG for this stream.
Yes.
And
PG is good. Yes.
but where Ecco comes from is towards the end of his life, John C. Lilly went a little bit crazy and thought that aliens were trying to contact him through the Earth Communication Control Office, or ECCO. So that's where Ecco's name comes from. And okay, we totally missed a jump there because I was trying to do the level in the fastest strategy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fall back on a slightly safer one. In this level, we gotta sing to these bubbles. They kind of fling us around. The psychic flying dolphins will carry us with their minds.
Yeah, pretty much like Jean Grey just sitting there waiting on you.
Oh yeah, this is definitely some X-Men stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here like, how in the world would you figure out where all these things are casually?
Oh yeah, this game casually is pretty obtuse. Fin to Feather has our first instance of the Metasphere, which transforms us into a different creature, a bird in this case.
Yeah, bird.
Birds are jerks.
Yep. What I was trying to do there is actually intentionally take damage from the eagles there, because falling is the fastest way of moving downwards, but, you know, marathon luck.
Yeah?
It's gonna be one of those runs.
But you're doing good so far, so...
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So this is probably the easiest 3D swimming stage in the game because these vines, I don't know, kelp or whatever, are very easy to avoid and they don't really do a whole lot of damage, but because it's pretty easy overall, the number of rings that you can miss is very low. Like, if I miss 2 more rings, that's a restart on the level. But their positions are pretty much predetermined, so not a huge deal.
So this is the spiritual successor to Superman 64, right?
Yeah, spiritual precursor. Yeah.
Right.
In Eagles Bay, we're going to have the first occurrence of Bird Clip. You'll probably understand exactly why it's called that when I demonstrate it. So, essentially, Ecco's hitbox in bird form is kind of weird, and we can manipulate an eagle into pushing us through a wall and just skip a barrier glyph and save a bunch of time on the stage. Now, for this broken glyph piece here, I have to make sure that it stays on screen, because as soon as it's off screen, it despawns and will reappear back at its initial location. We gotta reassemble the glyph to get the key to pass through this one. Swim up this tube. We're supposed to get carried by the dolphins, but it's faster just to kind of bounce over that rock. And now we've got to wait for this hideous worm thing, because it's going to eat these rocks for us.
It kind of looks like a slug, almost.
Yeah, and actually, just recently, they discovered an undersea worm that actually does eat rocks.
Does it look anything like that?
A little bit. So this is our friend, the Asterite, the giant DNA strand here, which I just accidentally talked to twice. It tells us that the aliens from the first game found out that it helped you, and they didn't really like that. So they decided to kill him, and we're going to have to go back to the past, or our present, and basically save its life.
Yeah, without your deep lore here, we'd never know what's going on, because you got to get through that text real quick. Also, it's in Japanese.
Yes, we are playing the Japanese version because it is slightly faster in hard mode. It has less lag overall than the North American version, and about 2 fewer screens of credits. So that ends up saving about 1.5 seconds later on. The game's actually slower in any percent on the Japanese version because an auto-scrolling section later on moves at about 1/3 of the speed it's supposed to. So in this level, we're basically trying to save some lost orcas. They're scattered all over the level. This is one of the first major routing changes from any percent. In any percent, you only need to rescue 4. In hard mode, you need to rescue 8, and they're spread over the entire level rather than just a small section of it. Sometimes that pufferfish will follow you across the entire level.
Are you gonna rescue it too, right?
Yeah, let's go with that. Again, this is one of those levels where there's not a whole lot to talk about. Basically, you just want to try to keep your lines clean because Ecco's movement is highly momentum-based. Like, you can get up to speed fairly quickly with a charge attack, but it just saves a lot more time to do clean lines, not hit walls and stuff. You'll see me hitting walls all the time, though, because the controls in this game are not particularly easy.
Seems extremely precise from where I'm sitting over here.
Yes. A stupid amount of precision, in fact. Okay, so you're familiar with the concept of subpixels, right? Each pixel being divided into smaller elements. Like, for instance, in the Sonic games, I believe that each one is divided into 256 subpixels. In this game, they decided to divide each pixel into 65,536 subpixels.
Wow, that's a lot of pixels.
So, yeah, a 16-bit integer. And, yeah, this game doesn't really have hitboxes. It's got hit triangles, hit squares, hit pentagons, hit hexagons.
Octagons. and
Yeah,
all that
octagons.
just,
It
like,
actually does. Yeah. It's pretty insane that all this manages to mostly run at 60 frames per second on a 16-bit processor. So
I'm sitting here wondering if any of those hitboxes are not convex. So, like,
Yeah.
if there's, like, one that has a weird shape like the starfish or something.
I'm pretty sure that they're all convex. Not aware of any concave hitboxes, but you know, this game is full of surprises.
I don't know if you could optimize the math for it on a 16-bit processor if it were concave. So yeah.
So now that we've rescued all the orcas, this one's going to take us to the end of the level. It's semi an auto-scroller because we've got to keep it relatively on-screen because otherwise it'll despawn and we got to come back to the beginning of the stage.
I wonder will he do the same thing like he did in Free Willy, that final jump.
Yep.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. All we need is a little boy. We're like, yeah.
So fortunately, we don't have to follow them all the way, because once it heads down this shaft, we can just swim to the end of the level, because the rocks blocking the exit have despawned. Maze of Stone is the second hard mode exclusive level, and the only one that's not an auto-scroller. It's pretty difficult. It's got a variety of fairly tricky puzzles. There's a lot of stuff that can kill you fairly easily. We're gonna try to do a skip here, and got it. Okay, so
Right on.
Nice.
essentially we got this rock to land on an invisible pixel, and that allows us to push it into that stone barrier. Normally we're supposed to swim down the shaft and sonar a set of sea stars up to break the barrier, but this is a speed run, and that's slow, so the main objective in Maze of Stone is to sonar these glyphs, which will eat rock walls and allow us to progress through the level. So now we're back at the beginning, but the wall is gone, so we can swim down here, collect the key song from this glyph, get rid of that barrier, go back, collect it a second time, We're supposed to use stars here again, but it's faster just to damage boost through these shells. They're not going to kill us. And here's the first instance of actually using the stars. Whole lot of rock barriers we gotta get by. And this is kind of tricky because we have to alternate between the A and C buttons. A to sonar and C to actually swim against this strong current. And one thing that's not so great about this stage is the number of objects on screen causes a lot of lag. And there's really no way to go about reducing it. If we were playing the Sega CD version, there wouldn't be any frame drops at all, but the entire run would be about 8 minutes longer due to load times. And since the game is timed RTA, cartridge is preferred. Alright, made it through. That was actually a fairly clean level.
Nice.
Four Islands has another bit where we're kind of getting escorted by a creature, this time a dolphin. His name is Blackfin, and he's a real jerk. He does his level-headed best to try and lose us. I think he's, in terms of lore, trying to test whether or not we're really the great hero, Ecco the Dolphin.
So pretty much she's a non-believer.
Oh, yes, 100%. He is very incredulous.
Are we just gonna let that level-headed thing just, you know, float on by? Like, look at the head. It's pretty flat. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, fortunately, Blackfin has treated us pretty well. He has a lovely tendency of getting stuck on those rocks and kind of despawning and reappearing back at the end of the level. But it was actually nice. He gives us this song to break the rocks.
Why couldn't I had this about 4 levels ago?
Yeah, it's only for this stage. Alright, Sea of Darkness. Now, this is the first occurrence of an alien in the game, and we actually did manage to kill him. So, cool thing about this game is that damage is applied per frame, and Ecco's got about 20 hit points at full health. So, if you happen to overlap that alien for a third of a second, you will die. Iframes aren't really a thing in this game. So, the gimmick in this level is that it's dark and it only lights up when you use the sonar, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of difference because you can still pretty much see where the walls are. We rescue this orca, and this orca gives us some plot, which we skip through because gotta go fast.
Yeah.
And Vents of Medusa, which incidentally is the only level in the game where you actually have to mash C to skip its title. All the other levels, you can just hold the C button. So in this level, we're supposed to turn into a jellyfish, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to damage boost through these guys, swim to the top. And we have just enough health and air to get to the end. Gateway is a pretty short stage. And that's Gateway.
Oh.
This is the worst 3D swimming segment in the game. Because the jellyfish have a tendency to really lag out the game quite a bit. And when you charge, it locks onto them, which tends to pull you away from the rings. It really messes up your trajectory. Fortunately, the music is excellent. I see you bobbing your heads. Yeah. Got that Genesis bass line.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about the bass line.
Alright, in Sea of Green, we've got another sort of dolphin wall, but this one won't move until we feed it. So we gotta sonar this fish over to him. Just this real lazy jerk here. But we're gonna try to do something kind of funny. Basically, if we get off screen fast enough, he doesn't actually eat the fish and we get to eat it. So these rocks have kind of bizarre behavior sometimes. They just kind of rocket down real fast. And we're on to the first real sort of boss fight. This stage is kind of an auto-scroller. You can speed it up by pressing down on the shell, but you take constant damage while doing that. And that's not an issue in the any % run, but in hard mode, it's much harder to kill these eels that are on the side. So you're likely to take some hits, and since, as we already mentioned, damage is applied per frame, it's just much safer to kind of let the shell do its own thing. When it hits a wall, it spawns this giant red eel, and lags out the game because the Genesis just can't blast process fast enough to deal with all those sprites. So you'll notice I was in contact with that eel for maybe 5 frames, and look at how much damage it did.
Ooh.
Yeah. Hard mode is hard.
It does look like your health is coming back a little. Oh, you're eating the fish. Okay.
Yep. Okay, we're in a bad spot here, but we managed to get out of it. So once we get to the bottom of the level here, that red eel is going to pop out of this shell, and we're going to blast it a whole bunch with the sonar. And that's the boss. So, our friend the Asterite is looking a little bit slimmer than the last time we saw him. His globes have been kind of scattered around, and we gotta go pick them up.
Yeah, alright. I mean, so this is the big strand of DNA from before?
Yep.
How many of these are there?
A lot, but fortunately, we don't have to worry about most of them. In this level, there are only 2 pairs.
Oh my god. Oh, he's trying to build the DNA.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Gotta rebuild our friend. So the next level in the game used to be the longest level in the run. There are about 10 pairs of globes that you have to get in a specific order, and it's pretty difficult, but we don't do that anymore. I'll explain how this works after I do it, because it does require kind of precise timing. So essentially what happens here is when we sonar a glyph, it kind of pushes us back, and when we run into a glyph, it kind of pushes us back. If we do both at the same time, it pushes us back real fast and gives us enough speed to clip through walls. So we just skipped that entire level, which normally takes like 6 minutes. In this level, we just need to talk to one of these whales who's gonna bust open this rock wall for us. He didn't do a very good job the first time, though. There's only 1 pair in this level. And we'll notice that DNA's looking a fair bit more complete than last time. We totally got all of those.
More, yeah.
Yeah. Alright, Deep Ridge. This is the longest level in the run because we haven't figured out a good way to skip it yet. I gotta give a shout out to Aludra, who is the runner who discovered a lot of these glitches pertaining to the barrier glyph skipped. She has taken minutes off of the run, and, you know, wouldn't be the same without her, so shout outs to Aludra. Yeah, this stage, there are 8 pairs that we gotta go grab, and really not a whole lot to say about it. Everything comes down to just trying to maintain as much momentum as possible.
Just got a big old group of people coming in from Gygus Blues stream here. So thanks for the host there.
Yeah, Gygus Blues, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Also, my man doing the flips with the dolphin.
Oh yeah. They're not just for looks. They actually do slightly increase the height of your jump. There are a couple points during the run where that will be important, but mostly it's just because I'm trying to maintain a rhythm in tapping the C button. You move at your maximum rate of speeds if you're just constantly tapping the C button. You can't hold it down, you gotta keep tapping it. So essentially, I'm mashing the C button for about, 55 minutes an hour, however long the run takes.
So I feel like they got the concept of 4 different base pairs of DNA. I don't think they quite got how they match up.
Yeah, they only figured out the dolphin biology, specifically how they're going to be flying and psychic in the future.
By the way, if you decode this strand of DNA, it does in fact give you superpowers. That's how it works, right?
Yes, actually. Once the asteroid is restored, we will no longer have to surface for air.
Oh, I was talking about it in real life. No.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, maybe he's thinking about the whole H2O and having some oxygen and, kind of like chemistry class.
No, I didn't do too well in chemistry class. I just played hacky sack in the back of the lab with the other slackers.
I did okay. I was like a C average student, but in that class.
And any percent, you only need to collect 4 pairs of these globes, so the stage would already be super over by now.
Right.
Now, while I'm mostly trying not to hit walls, sometimes I will do it intentionally because it's the fastest way to change direction a lot of times.
Yes.
And that just helps you line things up. Normally the charge has a bit of a wind-up animation, but if you tap C right before charging, it skips that wind-up animation. So that's a pretty good way of getting back up to full speed really quickly after you hit a wall. Yeah, I really wish there was more to say during this level, but it's just kind of the slog that we got to get through.
Well, I will say that this as frustrating as it might can be, at least it looks like the controls here are consistent. And then
yeah.
you just clip through a wall for no reason, so yeah. Okay.
Well, a lot of the walls, what appears to be actual geometry, doesn't contain any real collision.
That was
is
an intended skip, I guess.
Yes, that's one of the trickier things about learning the game is learning which walls are real and which aren't. And then there are some real walls that you can just ignore. Okay, now the asteroid is explaining to us that the final pair of globes is being kept in the dark future. And he doesn't know how we're going to get there, but we're going to figure out a way. We can't use the time machine from the first Ecco game because that can only send us into the past. So this level used to be really dangerous, but we're going to skip it. This is a fairly recently discovered glitch. If you turn into the bird, then dive down into a very specific point, we can clip through this wall and swim to the end of the level.
Nice.
That is incredibly difficult to do, actually, because it is pretty sub-pixel precise, and as we already mentioned...
There's a few sub-pixels in this
Yeah,
game.
just a few.
Like 2 to the 16.
Yep. This is actually the fastest 3D stage in the game because every time you charge into one of these sharks, you can immediately charge again without a cooldown. So it actually becomes a matter of trying not to go too fast because otherwise you can miss the rings.
Ecco, if you want to get to the future, you must first solve my maze.
Alright, we're now in Lunar Bay. This is kind of the alien hive, where they've started to nest on Earth.
Oh, you said Lunar Bay. I assumed we were on the moon all of a sudden.
I know, right?
Nah, if you look in the sky, there's like a partial lunar eclipse going on, but we didn't really spend a whole lot of time looking at the sky.
And of course, because video game logic, that lunar eclipse is only happening here in the Lunar Bay.
Yep. So after we grab this invincibility, we can actually kind of wiggle our way through that wall. Normally we would need to find a glyph that would eat that barrier. And
Stop doing that to Ecco.
yeah, well, they're actually helping us out because we needed a way to the future, and there's our ticket. I don't know why the aliens are taking us to the one place where I could possibly get the power to defeat them, but, you know, video games. Time travel is a little bit rough on their bodies, though. And we're in the dark future. And the first thing you'll notice is there's not a whole lot of water. So the game all of a sudden becomes a much more traditional platformer.
Dolphin Flop Simulator 2019.
Yep. Oh, and gravity gets kind of hinky sometimes. It kind of inverts and throws you around.
Oh, is that what the gauge in the top of the screen is?
Yeah, that's your gravity indicator. We get that checkpoint because there are some tricky jumps coming up. These future levels are the only parts in the game that have bottomless pits. Because why not? We gotta be careful not to get crushed by this little orb here. Alright, and I'm going to try to do a super non-intended jump that skips a fair amount of the level. Alright, we didn't get it the first try. The setup on it is very precise. Second try is not bad, though.
Alright.
That used to be the hardest trick in the run until the bird clip and Hungry Ones was discovered. And got one more trick here. Yeah, if we line ourselves up, we can jump back after getting that glyph. In this level, there are 4 barrier glyphs that we're supposed to unlock. We're only going to use 3. Because there is a rather tricky, again, not very intended jump that we can make. Saves about 15 seconds versus doing the level normally, so it's worth going for, even though there's a chance that you can mess it up.
I've decided this is now the spiritual precursor to VVVVVV.
Yeah. Alright, so once we get in here, we grab this invincibility glyph, because we're going to need it to take out some rocks. And we got it.
Nice.
That jump was in no way, shape, or form intended by the developers. This level has some really weird gravity, but we're going to skip most of it by going up here and doing a jump, pretty high jump. If you hit charge on the same frame you exit water, you get a huge speed boost. Gonna try to make another tricky jump here, and we got it. Alright, this level is where runs go to die. This is Globe Holder. Essentially, we gotta bash this thing around the room a whole bunch and try not to get crushed by it. It's got 2 phases. In this first phase, we need to sonar it to bash it around these walls. After 14 hits, it will get real angry at us and actively try to crush us. And it's another 14 hits.
Looks like it might actually be easier to deal with when it's actually actively going after you.
Yes, yes it is. It's a little less random there. You can manipulate its AI. It's giving us a fairly nice pattern because it is very easy to get crushed here. Alright. Really cool scanline effect there. So now we've got the last pair, and we're going back to the present. Gonna get our powers back, and
Not gonna worry
fight
about
some aliens.
how we actually managed to get back to the present here.
You know, physics.
Okay.
Something. Yeah.
We just ran out of time. Just sent us back for no reason. Just coincidentally at the exact right time that we got the orbs.
Yeah. That's how time travel works. I learned
Correct.
it from Terminator. Alright, so this next part, I need to be careful not to go too fast, because you actually can soft lock the game. Okay, okay, good, we didn't. If I make it to the teleport ring before those bubbles hit me, I go back to the previous level without the orbs in tow, and I can't progress the game. So, now we've got a bunch of help from other dolphins who've decided to rise up and fight back against the aliens. And now we're making our way into the alien hive. And here's another instance of walls being suggestions. That's the easiest clip in the game to do. You just swim at it full speed, and you get sucked into this auto-scroller. We're going to intentionally keep this alien head alive because it prevents the others from spawning in this section. And some of their spawn points can be kind of inconvenient, so this is just a good way of managing it.
That bit of auto-scrolling seemed a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, this is kind of a throwback to the first game, which had a 6-minute-long auto-scroller right before the final boss that really went out of its way to kill you. It was actually put into the game because Ed Annunziata, the producer of this game, was terrified that people were going to rent the game and, like, beat it in 2 days or something like that, so he put a really hard second-to-last level in the game and made it so you had to play through it if you died on the final boss, so shoutouts to Ed. Fortunately, I think they heard the feedback and they made the auto-scrollers in this game much less difficult.
You still have to do it again if you die on the final boss?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the primary reason why I don't really run Ecco the Dolphin particularly much. Really just the last 2 levels of that game.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible speed game, just having every run die, you know, however long into the game.
Yeah, it's particularly amusing because the speedrun for Ecco 1 is real quick otherwise. That 6-minute auto-scroller is literally over 25% of the run. So, New Machine here is the last hard mode exclusive level, and it's the longest auto-scroller in the game at about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. There's not really a whole lot of tech to it other than we try to kill these aliens at specific points. Typically, you'll hit it once when you first see it, then wait a little bit, then kill it at a convenient point. Those glyphs there, if you sonar them, they send out little bits of light, which kinda tells you which path you're supposed to go, but we already know, so not really particularly useful.
Wait, you have control over which way you're going?
No, I've just played this game a whole lot. So I know what direction the machine's gonna move next.
Okay. It gives you a heads up about what's about to happen. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, what good is navigation information in an auto-scroller? I'm confused.
Yeah. Alright, and made it through, so time for the big fight with the alien queen. So, in any percent, there's a guaranteed setup for a 1 cycle. We unfortunately can't do that in hard modes for 2 reasons. Number 1, the boss is a minimum 3 cycle, and number 2, they actually added some invisible walls that makes it a lot easier to get swallowed by the queen, and that can happen sometimes. I actually hit her 1 more time than I wanted to, which caused her tongue to kind of separate, and the pieces killed me. So I'm just showing the great variety of things that can go wrong. We want to try really hard not to get swallowed by the queen, because that will take us into a little section where we actually get turned into an alien and have to sort of navigate a maze. It wastes a lot of time.
Yep.
Alright, got the 3 cycle.
Nice.
So, the game's not over yet. Oh, hey, what's up, Barbie? Didn't see you come in.
Yes, you've been here for quite some time.
So yeah, we've defeated the alien queen, and all of the ocean life is really happy. Get to see the title screen sequence here, sans the title. Got some nice synchronized swimming, some dolphin formation swimming here.
Like, wait, I didn't know Sans was in this game.
What's particularly amusing is there is actually a split for this credit sequence, because you can save time on it by mashing through some of the screens.
So that's why timing doesn't end when you beat the boss?
Oh yeah. Well, there's still like 4 levels left.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Fair enough.
So yeah, we can't mash through these screens nearly as quickly as the others in the game, but you still can get through them slightly faster than just letting them play out on their own.
Right.
And these dolphins are just now telling us a whole bunch of Hungarian names. It's the team that developed the game. Don't know why the dolphins are privy to this information, but there you go. So now we're back in the first level of the game, and I have met some people who actually were like, oh, game's over, and just turned off the system at this point. Thought it was like maybe a new loop like Castlevania or something like that. But no. We've got a different 3D stage here, and it's the most dangerous one in the game. It's the only one where dying is a distinct possibility, just because of the sheer number of enemies on screen. It's also a bit of a lag fest. Fortunately, this has gone pretty well. This should be the last ring coming up. Alright, so right now the asteroid tells us that the whole issue with two different futures was caused by, you know, a time paradox that occurred when you went back in time in the first game. So it tells us to go to Atlantis and destroy the time machine so that can't ever happen again.
Ooh, block puzzles.
Yeah, fortunately that one is pretty straightforward. It's got the same solution every time. You just go down the line once in either direction and you're done. We've got to use this block to break some barriers. There's only one stone that can break it in hard mode. There are two separate ones in any percent, so we don't need to worry about pushing it around. Fortunately, we actually did very well with that stone. Got another lazy but hungry dolphin here. Got to sonar this fish over. And once again, dolphin didn't eat it, so we got to.
Yoink.
Both times in the run. That's actually not easy to do. So in this section, we got some crushing blocks. If we swim underneath them, we'll make the cycles just fine. In this stage, we're supposed to turn into a school of fish, but we skip it, because that's slow.
Yeah, besides, who wants to go to school?
Yeah! Well, particularly when there are dolphins around who will try to eat you.
Yeah.
So, skipping the transformation saves 30 seconds versus doing the stage normally. Alright! Last stage in the game. It's also the hardest one. And it's a stealth mission.
You got this, Grill?
Yep. Hopefully. So, these vortex larvae, alien larvae here, open these doors. We gotta tail them closely, but not too closely, because otherwise they'll aggro on us and kill us pretty quickly. They're invincible, you can't harm them, so we just gotta kinda stay out of their way. Just do a little bit of the old Metal Gear Dolphin. This stage is much shorter on any percent because there are only 2 doors that these larvae need to open. There are 9 in hard mode.
Oy.
And the last time hard mode was run in a marathon, which I believe was SGDQ 2014 or 2013, one of those, Blue Glass was the runner, and he had a pretty rough time on this stage because It is actually very difficult to get the spacing correct here, and when things go wrong, they go wrong really quickly, and a death on this stage will cost you minutes instead of seconds.
I'm assuming it sends you all the way back to the beginning of this thing.
Oh yeah. Okay, this next room is kind of rough. We have to push this block down, then wait for the alien to come through here, push the block through the door, and do all of that without getting trapped or crushed. We need that block in order to push our way through this current.
Once again, a common theme of Genesis games, don't get crushed.
Yep. Alright, we're getting pretty close to the end here. Alright, that's cool. Sometimes that door just doesn't stay open very long. So... yeah, sometimes the alien spawns like to be inconsistent. This one's kind of tricky because it goes real wide on its turns and likes to catch you off guard. Time is coming up pretty soon. It will be when I enter the blue teleport ring at the end. So just one last door to get through. And time.
All right.
Bravo! Bravo!
Whew.
It's a... if you can't see it, it's a 55-26.
Okay, that's not bad. That is not bad. That is well under the estimate I gave.
All
Yeah,
right,
and
well
that is,
done, GrimShins.
Ecco, Tides of Time, any % hard. Just want to give a shout out to my couch here, Sonic Man, and Barbie X Edge. I want to give shout outs to the entire Planet Chaos crew.
We
if
love
you're
y'all.
watching.
We
love
love
you
y'all.
guys. Huge shout out to my sister, who is the reason that I'm into this game in the first place. It was one that we played a lot as kids. Love you, Nolly. Hope you enjoyed the run. And yeah.
All right, real important question. What does the secret password do?
So the secret password was meant to be used in a sequel to this game that never actually came out. It was in development for the Genesis. It got moved over to 32X, but then it got canceled because the 32X was a massive flop. So this secret password basically has no purpose other than letting you know that you beat the game without cheating.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you once again to GrimShins. Excellent show.